Welcome to the Fusion Mastery course. In this lesson, we'll be talking about workspaces. After completing this lesson, you'll be able to navigate through workspaces. We've already navigated through workspaces and looked at the differences between some of the toolbars and access to tools. So you should be fairly comfortable with moving between workspaces. We've already noted that things like the marking menu and the toolbox are workspace specific. But I want to talk a little bit more about the patch and model workspace specifically. What I want to do is I want to look at things like how models and features behave in each of these. So with our toolbar example, I'm going to rotate it around and I'm going to select this filleted edge. I then want to hit delete on the keyboard and notice that it takes out the fillet and extends both faces until they meet at a corner. Now this is important because in the model workspace, the delete key is part of the direct editing tools, which means that anytime you, for instance, select a rounded corner and hit delete, it will extend those out and get rid of that fillet. This works for various other things too, depending on the geometry. It can delete entire faces or other features like holes and parts. These tools can be very helpful whenever you're working with imported geometry and need to do things like change or remove fillets, remove certain features, or even move stuff around. Now if we navigate to the patch workspace, and let's take a look at the fillet on the other side. If I hit the delete key, in the patch workspace, we're dealing with surfaces and not solid bodies. So instead of patching this corner with a sharp edge, what it actually does is it removes the face because we're treating it like a surface. Now this is true anytime we select a face in the patch environment. So you see here that what we've done is we've actually deleted that external face. The good news is that all of this is saved inside of our timeline, which means that we can go back and undo it at any point in time by selecting them and deleting them by using delete on the keyboard or right-clicking and deleting them. So keep in mind that while some tools behave the same in both the patch and the model workspace, some tools do not. So keep in mind that when you're in the patch workspace, you're working with surfaces, even though this is a solid body. When you're in the model workspace, it's assumed that you're working with solid bodies. So things like the delete key and direct editing tools might behave differently based on your model and your geometry. Now, of course, there are many other workspaces that we've talked briefly about. The CAM environment or the CAM workspace allows you to create CNC programs, export them to a G-code file, and have them run on a CNC machine. The simulation workspace allows you to analyze your design for static stress, modal frequency, thermal and thermal stress, as well as structural buckling. You'll also note that we have some preview, nonlinear static stress and event simulation, and there's a newly added shape optimization, which allows you to take a shape and figure out what the best case scenario is in terms of structure based on loading and criteria that you set up. We're not going to be talking about simulation or CAM at this point. We will talk about it later on in our course through various examples. But at this point, it's important to understand and note the way that you navigate through Fusion 360, the way that you move your model around, and the way that you access various tools, whether it's through the workspace toolbars, the S key toolbox, or the marking menu.